From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your hosts, Roby Brock and David Goins.
And good Sunday morning to you. Happy Father's Day and welcome into Capitol View. I'm David Goins.
And I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for joining us. We are joined today by Curtis Coleman. He is a Republican candidate for governor of the state of Arkansas in 2014. Welcome to the program.
Delighted to be here. Good morning. Happy Father's Day.
Well, happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you go first. You've been off air for a little bit.
It's been a while, so I'm just going to jump right back in there. Curtis, it's a long summer. It's a long political year. How do you see your campaign kind of progressing through these next few months here?
Well, I enjoy the campaign, I'll tell you that. We're doing as many events every day as possible, sometimes 6 or 8 events a day. And if I could figure out how to teleport, I would enjoy the campaign a lot more because we're driving several hundred miles a day. But we set up a strategy that's built on a grassroots organization and a grassroots campaign. We've already got functioning campaign committees in almost 50 of the 75 counties, and we're leveraging that now. We knew that the big battle I have to fight, because I'm not a professional politician, not even a lawyer, that the big battle we have to fight is name ID. And so that's what we're working on, and we're doing as many events a day as we possibly can, and fortunately, I enjoy all of that.
You say, how tough of a fight is that? I mean, you talk about name ID. Obviously, right now, the only other candidate, Asa Hutchinson, former congressman, extremely well known. I mean, no way to slice it other than that's an uphill climb, right?
It is an uphill climb, and we recognize that. So we decided that the most effective strategy in a primary, and we're just looking at the primary now, obviously, is to build a real strong grassroots organization. Because in a primary, you're actually trying to reach a very limited number of voters in Arkansas. We don't need to influence everybody in Arkansas who's going to vote this year. We just need to win the Republican primary. And we believe, and we think there's a lot of empirical data to support it, that a strong grassroots campaign is the most effective because you win a primary on relationships. And that's the strategy we're taking, and we're very happy with how that's gone so far.
Deborah Hobbs may also be a Republican candidate as well, so she may get in the race too. Just kind of a presumption here. Let's say you don't win the Republican nomination. Asa Hutchinson does, as he does have some more name ID right now. Will you support the eventual Republican nominee, or will you look at maybe an alternative candidate, someone else that you might presume to be more conservative?
You know, I'm a conservative Republican. I've been a Republican my whole life, and I expect to support the Republican nominee. I don't have any plans to do anything else.
This past week, Arkansans Against Big Government got clearance from the Attorney General's office to start collecting petitions for a repeal of the private option. You're on record as opposing the private option.
Right.
I would imagine you support this effort.
I definitely support the effort to put it before Arkansas voters and let Arkansas voters decide. I think that's a great thing to do. I mean, fundamentally, how can you go wrong letting Arkansans have a direct vote in a policy that's significant and that important, and that has such a long-term and significant impact on our culture as well as our economy? So, yeah, I think that's a great move.
Well, also on the ballot this next election cycle, you'll get asked this question a lot between now and then, is the fact that the legislature referred a term limits extension and an ethics reform measure all cobbled into one constitutional amendment. Do you support or oppose that?
I will tell you, I have a fundamental principle problem with that particular amendment, because the Arkansas legislature is limited to proposing 3 constitutional amendments per term, but they've had a habit, and this is one time when they did it again, where they packed 3 disparate, unrelated issues into one constitutional amendment, and I think that fundamentally that there's a problem with that. I don't support the extension of term limits as proposed in that amendment. You know, right now a state representative can serve 3 two-year terms.
Right.
A state senator can serve 2 4-year terms.
Correct.
In total, that's 8 and 6 is 14. I would be fine with limiting a consecutive or a combined term to 14 years, where basically you can serve all 14 years in the House, or you can serve all 14 years in the Senate.
I mean, it's pretty
close.
close.
I would support that.
Well, the only difference is what, 2 years?
Yeah, and I don't think an extension of the term limits is a good idea. But my big problem here is that I think they've crammed, in fact, illegally, in my opinion, crammed 3 issues into one constitutional amendment. So I'm gonna have to oppose it on that basis, if no other.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to what we were just touching on with this initiated referendum to try to undo the private option, they'll obviously be collecting signatures throughout the summer. Do you get a sense that they'll be able to get enough signatures to land on the
You know,
ballot?
I actually think they will. I think probably there's not a real good sense yet of the breadth and depth of the opposition to the private option among grassroots conservative Republicans, among the Tea Party, among Libertarians. I think there's a real strong opposition to the private option. I think that there are some grassroots Republicans and Tea Party members who feel somewhat betrayed by the vote by conservative Republicans who were in the legislature. And I think there's some, probably because of that, a lot of passion that'll drive that petition through to getting enough signatures.
Let me flip to another topic here. You're running on your business record, the fact that you have business experience. Your nonprofit organization has come under some scrutiny in recent weeks. 3 years of not filing tax returns on that nonprofit. The IRS has revoked the 501c3 status. Can you give us an update on where that is? And is that a good business record to run on?
Well, actually, that story's not finished yet. And the IRS is not finished with its rulings on that yet. And the word we have from the IRS, and let me just tell you, I'm not going to comment about that a lot because we're working really hard to keep the campaign and the Institute separate for obvious reasons. But the IRS has advised us that the Institute's nonprofit status will be returned and renewed effective the same date as the revocation. Our attorney tells us that it will be a seamless nonprofit status. This story's not finished, and stories that have been written to date haven't finished, don't understand that this issue's by far completed.
All right, well, we look forward to it being completed.
We do too, I can tell you.
Curtis, I appreciate you coming into Capitol View this morning and continue that campaign throughout the summer. We'll be sure to keep watching it closely.
I enjoy every minute of it.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we'll recap the biggest political stories of the week. I'm Roby Brock alongside David Goins. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning on KARK.